Hi, we're going to read David Mortimer Baxter Promises, Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is The List. After school, we had a secret club meeting. Beck brought her pet rat, Ralph, who was also a club member, and the secret club book to take notes. We had a meeting in the study, and Boris pushed his way in before we could shut the door. We told Mom that we were doing homework and to keep Harry out. Harry was always trying to do whatever I was doing. Having a little brother can be really annoying. Mom had made us some after-school munchies. There were weird things with blueberries. Beck thought they might be muffins, and milkshakes. We fed a weird thing to Boris, who ate it in one gulp. Ralph picked at the crumbs. We waited 5 minutes. When neither pet died, we started eating. I think we should start, Joe said. I called this meeting to order. Ever since the election was announced, Joe was different. He used to be goofy and kind of weird. Joe was always pretending to be someone or something that he wasn't. I wondered what movie he watched. He'd changed from likable, nutty Joe to smart Joe, hardcore Joe. Got a few ideas, he said. Joe wanted me to talk to every person in the class, including the Gigi's. That was what politicians did. The Gigi's are never going to vote for me, I said. But Joe said you could never be sure. What do I talk about? I asked. All you need to do is figure out what people are interested in and talk about that, said Joe. Here, I made a list of suggestions. Class list. Beavis, Sam, football. Chatfield, William, cars. Kaya Chung, girl things. Tom Chewy, trading cards. Jake Davern, monkeys. Alexander D'Amelio, baseball. Louis Dabano, art. Alicia Devine, girl things. Stephanie Ellis, reading. Katrina Ewell, music. Jordan Farmer, wrestling. Luke Firth, don't worry about leaving. Stefan Garcia, wrestling. James Go, wrestling. Don't worry, promise, chunky chicken. Lee Hall, scary movies. Bonnie Irving, girl things. Carly Johnson, makeup. Paul Jerkovic, surfing. Chris Lang, baseball. Lily Lee, designer clothes. Brianna McKenzie, music. Kelly Nagy, girl things. Gemma Osborne, sports. Joe Pakagopoulos, don't worry about manager. Mitch Fung, cars. Joshua Reynolds, scary things. Rudy Savoya, magic tricks. Chase Thompson, collecting bottle caps. Rose Thornton, ignore. Rebecca Trigg, art. Ellie Van Veen, reading. Blake Webb, sports. That's great, Joe, I said. Beck scribbled in the club book. Class list suggestions from Joe accepted. Ralph scrambled up my arm and sat on my shoulder. I offered him a crumb. Beck pulled a camera out of her backpack. Smile, she said. That'll make great publicity shot for the school newsletter. For when David wins, she explained. Joe nodded. Good idea. What am I going to talk about in the debate? I asked. I was feeling lost. The usual stuff, said Joe. How you're the man for the job. How you'll be dedicated. How you have great ideas and plans for the future. Then Boris got up and stretched himself. What does that smell? Moaned Beck. Boris looked guilty. Meeting over, said Joe. We all ran for the door. As we left, Boris gobbled down another muffin. The next day at school, I studied the list. It was way too long. And how could I talk about girl things? Maybe I should ask Beck. Suddenly, a football stamped with the words Bays Park landed right in the middle of the list. The ball stitching was unraveling. It looked like it might have been the first football ever made. Sam Beavis came over and grabbed the ball. "Sorry," he said. At least he was talking to me again. I checked my list. Sam Beavis, football. "So, you really like football, huh?" I asked. Sam tossed the ball in the air. "Sure," he said. "What if I promise to stock the sports locker with 20 new footballs if I'm elected president?" I asked. "Wow, that'd be cool," said Sam. "You got my vote." Then he ran off, holding the ball under his arm. I placed a check next to Sam's name. 1 down, 26 to go. That day I talked to 5 more people. I used the football promise on Alexander and Stefan. I promised Jake Davern that our class would sponsor a monkey at the zoo. And I promised Jordan Farmer that I'd get him some free tickets to a taping of World Wrestling Mania. 6 kids down, 21 to go. At the end of the day, Victor Snedden was waiting at the front door of the school. "Hey, you," he said, pointing a finger the size of a large salami at me. I looked around, but everyone seemed to have scattered. Did I mention that Victor is Rose Thornton's cousin and the official school bully? I pointed a finger to my chest and he nodded. "Victor and I go way back." I moved a little closer to him and he scowled. "Come here," he said. I moved closer. "You're running for class president in Miss Stacy's class?" he asked. I nodded. "So's Rose," he said. I nodded again. "Rose really wants to be president," he grumbled. "So you better make sure that happens. Understand?" I nodded once more. "Can't hear you," he said, smiling wickedly. "Yes," I squeaked. "Good," said Victor. "I'm glad we understand each other." I looked up and saw Miss Stacy watching us. Victor must have seen her too, because he punched me in my arm in a playful way. "Now get out of here," he said.